So to calculate the average value, we're going to divide by the length of the interval. So it's 4 minus 2. Or in other words, multiply by 1 over the length of the interval. And then we integrate from 2 to 4 of this function. So when you try to integrate this function, when you try to find an antiderivative, we got sine of pi over x and then divide by x squared. It's pretty complicated, so a u substitution would be great. And usually, if there's a trig function, a good place to start would be to let u be the argument of that trig function. And let's see if that works out. Du would be, sorry, my mouse is terrible here. Du, then this is x to the negative first, so the negative 1 would come down and multiply, and then the power would get reduced by 1, so that'd be x to the negative second, or in other words, negative pi over x squared, which is what we have in the denominator. So we can let this be u, and then this is going to be du. We just need to tack on a negative sign, and we need a pi, so that when we make that du substitution, the negative sign would cancel out, and then this pi would also cancel out. I'm going to factor out negative, I'll take out that 3 while I'm at it, because that's just a constant multiplying to it, so negative 3 over pi. And so we have du, because when you factor out something over pi, that lets you put a pi in here, right? Pi times something over pi would cancel out. So we have that negative pi, and we have x squared. So we've got du, and then this is going to be sine of u. Now the integral is much easier. Limits of integration are gone right now, though. We'd have to change in terms of u, though. So this is negative 3. 4 minus 2 is 2, so that's 2 pi. So we can do the antiderivative. The antiderivative of sine is negative cosine, and that's negative because the derivative of cosine is negative sine. And then I'll substitute, now that we have the antiderivative, I'll just plug things back in terms of x. And then we evaluate this. Now we can put the limits of integration back in, because now we're back in terms of x. So if we plug in 4, I think we're just going to have to use decimals. Round 3 decimal places, thank goodness, because that'd be ugly without it. Negative cosine, this is pi over 4. We subtract that by negative cosine, pi over 4. So with decimals, oh sorry, pi over 2. I plugged in the wrong limit of integration there. Just make sure when you plug this in a calculator you use radians. Okay, but negative cosine pi over 4 plus cosine pi over 2, which is 0. And then multiply by negative 3, then divide by 2 pi.